Rick Hendrick doesn't yell. He doesn't have to, because when the most powerful man in NASCAR finally raises his voice, entire race teams start rebuilding cars overnight. And according to Dale Earnhardt Jr., that exact moment might be happening right now inside the walls of Hendrick Motorsports. 4 cars, one of the greatest dynasties the sport has ever seen. And right now, heading into the biggest stretch of the season, something isn't adding up. Here's where things stand. Hendrick Motorsports enters the 2026 chase with a very shaky resume. Chase Elliott has 2 wins on the board. That's it. That's the highlight reel for a 4-car super team. Kyle Larson, the reigning Cup Series champion, has barely sniffed the front of the field most weekends. This is not the Hendrick Motorsports fans are used to seeing. This is a team that's supposed to show up and dominate on a weekly basis. Instead, they've looked average, sometimes worse. And now, with the playoffs closing in, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is pulling back the curtain on how Rick Hendrick handles moments exactly like this one. To understand why this matters, you have to understand who Rick Hendrick actually is inside that building. He's not a screamer. He's not a guy who blows up over a bad Sunday. Dale Jr., who drove for Hendrick and knows the internal culture better than almost anyone outside the shop, explained it simply. When performance drops, the meetings change. They get serious. Hendrick tells the room they need to figure it out, and everyone understands there will be consequences if they don't. That's the part fans never see. It's not about anger. It's about pressure, quiet, controlled, but unmistakable pressure from the top. And here's why that matters so much right now. Hendrick Motorsports has openly struggled to adapt to Chevrolet's new 2026 Aero package. That's not a small technical footnote. That's the difference between a car that stays balanced for 400 miles and one that fades the moment the tires start wearing. This isn't the first time this organization has hit a wall like this either. Go back to 2025. Same story. A brutal midseason slump that had people questioning whether the dynasty was finally cracking. So how did that season end? With Larson in the number 5 car hoisting the championship trophy. Now let's break down what's actually happening here, because this is bigger than one podcast quote. Rick Hendrick's leadership style is built around one core principle: forward motion. The moment a race ends badly, the conversation doesn't dwell on what went wrong last weekend. It shifts immediately to what needs to change for next weekend. That's a psychological reset. And in a sport this fast-moving, that mental discipline is a massive competitive advantage. Think about what that actually does inside a 4-car organization. The engine department starts chasing more horsepower. Engineers go back into the setup sheets looking for anything they missed. The aero group starts hunting for marginal gains anywhere they can find them. Everybody in that building suddenly has one job: be the person who hands Rick Hendrick the fix. That's not panic. That's structure. That's an organization using urgency as fuel instead of letting it become fear. But here's the risk. This strategy only works if the diagnosis is correct. If Hendrick Motorsports has genuinely misjudged how to set up cars for this new Chevrolet package, throwing more resources at the wrong problem won't fix anything. It'll just burn time they don't have before the chase field gets locked in. The other risk is human. When an owner with Hendrick's reputation walks in and sets that tone, it can absolutely light a fire, but it can also tighten shoulders. Crew chiefs and engineers under that kind of pressure sometimes overcorrect, chasing changes that look good on paper but throw off the balance drivers have spent all year building. So is this smart or dangerous? Honestly, it's both. It's smart because Hendrick Motorsports has the depth, the resources, and the track record to actually solve technical problems under pressure. It's dangerous because the clock is not on their side. The chase is here. There's no more time to slow play it. Fan reaction to this is already split right down the middle. One side of the fan base is pointing straight at the 4-car result and asking a fair question. If this is one of the most talented rosters in the garage, why does it look so ordinary right now? The other side is doing what Hendrick loyalists have done for years, trusting the process, pointing to 2025 as proof that this organization has been here before and has the blueprint to climb out of it. Media reaction is leaning analytical. A lot of NASCAR insiders are framing this less as a crisis and more as a warning sign that needs to be taken seriously, especially with a new aero package still not fully cracked. So where does this go from here? 2 paths. Best case scenario, Hendrick Motorsports does exactly what they did in 2025. The internal urgency Rick Hendrick creates pushes the competition department into overdrive. They solve the balance issues with the new Chevrolet package, and Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, or one of their teammates rides that momentum into a serious championship run. History would repeat itself, and this whole storyline becomes another chapter in the Hendrick comeback legend. Worst case scenario, the adjustments come too late. The chase format is brutal and unforgiving, and if these cars are still fighting balance issues once the playoff races start, there may not be enough time left to fix it on the fly. A four-car powerhouse could find itself watching the championship battle from the outside for the first time in years. So here's the real question heading into the chase. Is Rick Hendrick's quiet pressure exactly what this organization needs to turn its season around? Or is this finally the year the cracks are too deep to patch in time? Drop your prediction in the comments. Best case or worst case, which one are you betting on? And if you want the real breakdowns before anyone else in NASCAR media catches up, make sure you're subscribed to Sports Wire USA. We're just getting started.